Imagine a civilization that, seemingly out of nowhere, began its history around 4,000 years before our era on fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Sumerians, as they called themselves, or black-headed ones, suddenly created a complex culture situated in city-states such as Ur, Uruk, and Lagash. These cities were not just populated areas, but true centers of trade and culture, as evidenced by the remnants of temples and ziggurats majestically rising above the surrounding landscape. The Sumerians' most significant achievement was the invention of cuneiform script, one of the earliest writing systems, which allowed them to record laws, trade agreements, and myths on clay tablets. They used styluses to carve signs into soft clay and then fired these tablets, transforming them into durable artifacts that still preserve the secrets of their culture. A unique irrigation system developed by the Sumerians enabled them to cultivate land even in arid climates, fostering the growth of agriculture and, consequently, raising the standard of living for their population. The Sumerians possessed deep knowledge of astronomy and created intricate calendars based on observations of celestial bodies. They knew about planets like Venus and Jupiter, which could not be seen with the naked eye, and accurately tracked their movements across the sky. This knowledge allowed the Sumerians not only to predict solar and lunar eclipses, but also to use astronomical data for agricultural purposes. In their mythology, beings known as the Anunnaki were considered gods who came from the heavens and brought civilization to Earth. The Sumerians believed that these gods taught them agriculture, construction, and writing. The soft rustling of reeds in the marshes where the Sumerians lived creates an atmosphere of antiquity, and the sound of clay tablets being worked on by a scribe captures moments that became the foundation for future civilizations. As archaeology shows, the Sumerians left behind not only material artifacts, but also unsolved mysteries that continue to intrigue historians and researchers. Discoveries such as the ziggurat in Ur, standing around 60 meters tall, are evidence of their engineering prowess and their aspiration for the divine. Ancient civilizations have left behind numerous enigmas that often seem unsolvable. The theory of paleocontact, which posits interaction between humans and extraterrestrial civilizations, sparks heated debates among researchers and history enthusiasts. Discoveries such as rock paintings depicting figures resembling astronauts have formed the basis for numerous speculations. For example, in the Peruvian desert of Nazca, archaeologists found enormous geoglyphs that can only be seen from above, and some researchers claim these drawings could have served as navigational markers for spacecraft. Vedic texts from India, such as the Mahabharata, describe vimanas, flying machines that, according to proponents of the theory, could have been predecessors of modern aircraft. These texts detail battles involving vimanas, which some believe demonstrate a level of technology beyond what was available to ancient people. On medieval frescoes, such as those in the Church of Santa Maria in Italy, objects resembling modern interpretations of flying saucers are depicted, further fueling interest in the paleocontact hypothesis. In the Mayan civilization, images of figures in helmets and with mysterious devices were found, which some interpret as representations of astronauts. However, the scientific community is skeptical of such claims. Critics point out that many of these interpretations may be the result of misinterpretation of artifacts and historical texts. They also remind us that complex technologies could have been developed by local civilizations rather than being introduced from outside. Nevertheless, proponents of the paleocontact theory emphasize that the sudden appearance of highly advanced civilizations, such as the Sumerians or Egyptians, raises questions about possible external influences. Imagine an ancient person encountering beings with technologies they couldn't understand. The feeling of awe and fear before the unknown could have transformed their perception of the world, creating myths and legends passed down through generations. Research shows that such encounters could have caused not only terror, but also a desire to explain the unusual phenomenon through the lens of available knowledge. One of the most famous examples is the case in New Zealand, where local residents described encounters with sky visitors, which sparked interest among anthropologists and historians. The perception of these events could vary greatly depending on cultural context, making the study of ancient texts and artifacts particularly intriguing. The question of whether ancient people were indeed witnesses to encounters with extraterrestrial civilizations remains open, and perhaps this is one of the greatest mysteries of human history. Paleocontact is not just a theory, but a whole field of research filled with enigmas and hypotheses that require further investigation. In the 20th century, there were instances where people claimed to have seen UFOs, which only adds to the interest in whether such phenomena were known in ancient times. Ancient textual sources, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, are sometimes interpreted as descriptions of interactions with gods who, from a modern scientific perspective, could have been highly advanced beings. Once, in the harbour of Rhodes, there stood a colossal statue known as the Colossus of Rhodes, a magnificent bronze figure approximately 33 meters tall, symbolizing the sun god Helios. This statue, created by sculptor Heres in 280 BC, gazed out at the sea from its stone pedestal, adding to its imposing presence. As the Colossus was made of bronze, its surface reflected sunlight, creating a dazzling spectacle for sailors approaching the harbour. The gleam of bronze against the bright sky drew attention and instilled hope in those seeking a safe entrance to this important trading port. Arriving sailors felt a sense of awe as they looked upon this gigantic figure, which seemed to guard their path. The sound of waves crashing against the rocks at the Colossus base mingled with the cries of seagulls, creating an atmosphere of grandeur and sanctity. There are theories suggesting that the Colossus may have served as a lighthouse for ships, guiding them to safe harbour. However, this version remains controversial due to the lack of sufficient historical evidence. In 226 or 227 BC, the Colossus was destroyed by a powerful earthquake, and its bronze parts were melted down and sold as scrap metal. The statue, once one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, remains in history as a symbol of the power and grandeur of ancient Greek culture. All that remains on the site of its location are legends and fragments of memories of how it might have looked, but its majesty continues to inspire researchers and artists even after more than 2,000 years. Did you know that in the Peruvian desert of Nazca, there are mysterious geoglyphs that even the most experienced researchers struggle to understand? These lines, known as the Nazca lines, are enormous drawings depicting animals, plants, and geometric figures. Some of them are up to 370 meters long and were created between 300 BC and the 6th century AD. The uniqueness of these geoglyphs lies in the fact that they were carved into the surface of the desert in such a way that they can only be seen from the air. Thanks to the dry climate of the region and the absence of vegetation, the lines have remained in perfect condition for centuries, despite the passage of time. Research shows that the Nazca line depicting a hummingbird is one of the most famous and beautiful, with its elegant forms and clear outlines. There are various theories about the purpose of these geoglyphs. Some scientists believe they could have served as a calendar, helping ancient peoples track time and seasons, while others suggest they might have been maps of water sources, indicating where to find water in the harsh climate. There are also theories that the geoglyphs were used for ritual purposes, as paths for pilgrimages or messages to the gods. Imagine the sensation of walking on hot sand in the scorching sun, when the temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius, and the rustling of the sand beneath your feet creates an atmosphere of mystery. The stark contrast between the lifeless landscape and the refinement of the images makes you wonder about the secrets hidden in this ancient culture. For example, the geoglyph of the monkey demonstrates the incredible skill and precision with which ancient peoples created their artistic works using only simple tools. It is believed that these lines not only attracted the attention of local residents but could also be seen from the sky, adding another layer of mystery to their purpose. The Nazca lines continue to captivate researchers and tourists from all over the world, creating a unique blend of history and art in the heart of the Peruvian desert. In the 19th century, the first mentions of the geoglyphs were made by the Peruvian geographer and explorer Toribio Mejia, who noticed the strange lines during his travels in the region. These geoglyphs are part of Peru's cultural heritage and were inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2001, highlighting their significance for world culture and archaeology. The legend of the lost Atlantis, hidden somewhere in the vast expanses of the ocean, has captivated adventurers and scholars for millennia. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, the philosopher Plato first described this island state, asserting that Atlantis was a powerful civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his time. Plato depicted Atlantis as a vast island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, where a great culture inhabited by people with advanced technologies and profound knowledge thrived. They built magnificent cities surrounded by powerful walls and possessed wisdom that other nations of the era envied. However, according to Plato, due to their pride and depravity, Atlantis was destroyed in a catastrophe and submerged in the waters of the ocean. This story has given rise to numerous hypotheses about the location of Atlantis. Some researchers suggest that it could have been in the Mediterranean Sea, linking it to islands like Crete or Santorini, where archaeological findings indicate the existence of advanced civilizations that could have inspired Plato. Others point to the Atlantic Ocean as a likely location for Atlantis, citing tectonic movements and the disappearance of lands that could be the result of ancient catastrophes. For example, some researchers claim that Atlantis could have been part of the now submerged lands off the coast of Bermuda, or even in the Caribbean Sea, where underwater structures and anomalies raise many questions. Antarctica has not been overlooked either, where remnants of ancient civilizations, as mentioned by Plato, might be hidden under the ice. The sound of waves crashing against the shore creates a sense of mystery, mingling with the salty sea air that hangs in the air. The waters of the ocean seem to hold ancient secrets, waiting for someone to uncover them. The search for Atlantis remains relevant, as each new year brings new research and technologies that can shed light on this mysterious history. In the 21st century, scientists use underwater drones and georadars to explore the ocean floor, where artifacts related to Atlantis may be found. Scientific expeditions in the Bermuda Triangle region have shown that there are indeed anomalies there that could be connected to the myth of the lost civilization. In the end, Atlantis has become more than just a legend. It is a symbol of humanity's quest for knowledge and understanding of its place in the world, remaining at the center of discussions and research. Scientific discoveries, such as submerged cities in the Indian Ocean or underwater ruins off the coast of Japan, add new layers to this enigmatic story. And each time someone finds traces of ancient civilizations, the hope of finding Atlantis is renewed with new strength. There are many theories, each supported by its proponents, but none have definitive proof. Currently, the search for Atlantis continues, and the world still awaits the day when someone will reveal this ancient secret. In the mountains of China, within isolated caves, mysterious granite discs with a diameter of about 30 centimeters were discovered. These artifacts, known as the dropping stone discs, were found in 1938 by archaeologist Chi Pu Te. Each disc has a central hole and spiral grooves that resemble micro-engraving, evoking associations with an ancient script or symbols, possibly originating from space. Chi Pu Te, exploring remote mountain corners, encountered these tools, which he believed could reveal the crash of a spaceship. However, soon after his findings were published, many scientists began to doubt their authenticity, claiming that the story might be a hoax. Scientific debates about the significance and origin of the discs continue to this day. The spiral patterns on the discs' surfaces create intrigue and an atmosphere of mystery, as if these artifacts are witnesses to events that occurred millions of years ago. Their isolated location in mountain caves adds to their enigma, giving the sense of touching something potentially extraterrestrial, which could change our understanding of human history. Despite the controversies, the fact remains that the dropping stone discs are one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, generating numerous hypotheses but no definitive explanations for their purpose or origin. It is known that some researchers have attempted to decipher the presumed inscriptions, but all efforts have been unsuccessful, further fueling the debates. A critical aspect is that Chi Pu Te himself did not provide convincing evidence for his discoveries, leading to criticism of his methods and conclusions. Nevertheless, this story continues to attract the attention of both enthusiasts of mysteries and scientists eager to unravel the secrets of the past. The dropping stone discs, with their unique design and controversial history, remain a mystery that has puzzled researchers for over 80 years. On the remote island of Easter, surrounded by the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean, hundreds of monumental statues known as moai stand tall. These stone giants, reaching up to 10 meters in height and weighing up to 80 tons, silently gaze towards the ocean, preserving the mysteries of the ancient Rapa Nui culture that once inhabited this island. Each statue, carved from volcanic tuff, possesses unique features: massive heads, prominent cheekbones, and long noses, giving the moai a majestic and enigmatic appearance. These statues are scattered along the coast and on elevated areas, as if guarding the island from the outside world, creating an atmosphere of isolation and mystique. The mystery of how these heavy structures were transported from the stone quarries on the eastern coast of the island to their final locations remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in archaeology. Various theories exist regarding how the ancient inhabitants could have moved such heavy objects. One hypothesis suggests the use of logs as rollers to facilitate the process. Another, more intriguing idea proposes that the statues were moved by rocking, requiring significant coordination and skill from the team. The island is imbued with a special atmosphere. The sound of ocean waves crashing against the cliffs provides a backdrop, complemented by gusts of wind that carve the stern faces of the moai. Each glance at these statues evokes a sense of wonder and respect, for they not only preserve the history of an ancient people, but also hold countless questions to which we still have no answers. It was not until the late 19th century, in 1899, that the first documented research on these statues was conducted by a Swedish expedition led by Thor Heyerdahl. However, many aspects of their creation and purpose remain unclear. It is worth noting that some moai had special bases that may have symbolized family ties or status. These stone figures, straddling the line between art and religion, continue to inspire researchers and travelers seeking to unravel their enigma. 83% of all moai are in a state of neglect or destruction, raising concerns about the preservation of this unique heritage. On the banks of the Indus River once stood one of the greatest ancient civilizations known as the Indus Valley Civilization, with cities that even today's standards would find astonishing. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, two outstanding centers of this culture, demonstrated exceptional urban planning skills. Streets were laid out in straight lines, forming a neat grid that facilitated efficient movement and planning. The urban infrastructure included complex drainage systems that provided sanitary conditions unavailable to many contemporary cities of the time. Standardized weights and measures indicated a high level of trade and craftsmanship. Artifacts found in these cities show the presence of elegant jewelry, pottery, and spices, which were the main commodities in markets. However, despite all these achievements, this civilization faced a mysterious decline. There are many theories about the reasons for its disappearance. One of them is the change in the course of the rivers, which could have led to a shortage of water resources for irrigation. Climatic changes possibly also played a role, causing droughts or floods that destroyed agriculture. Invasions by Aryan tribes coming from the north could have been the catalyst for the final collapse. In Mohenjo-Daro, archaeologists discovered impressive structures such as the Citadel, where administrative and religious buildings were located, and the Great Bath, which was likely used for ritual purposes, indicating the importance of water rituals in the lives of local residents. Imagine the bustling streets where children's laughter mixed with the cries of merchants offering their goods, from fresh fruits to exquisite fabrics. The scents of spices and intricately carved wooden items filled the air, creating a unique atmosphere of prosperity. However, over time, the streets became increasingly deserted, workshops closed, and life in the cities gradually faded away. Archaeologists continue to uncover more evidence of how quickly and rapidly the civilization disappeared, leaving behind only ruins that now fill us with wonder and admiration. The walls of the citadel in Mohenjo-Daro reached up to 12 meters in height, underscoring their defensive nature and their importance to the residents who sought to protect their homes from external threats. The building materials used, such as fired brick, testify to the high level of technology available to people of that time. To this day, it remains unclear what was the final straw that broke the camel's back for this civilization. But archaeological excavations continue to reveal new mysteries, immersing us in the atmosphere of a long-forgotten world. Imagine for a moment the crystal skulls that, according to researchers, were found in Central America. These mysterious artifacts are astonishing in their flawless polishing and anatomical precision. Each skull, as if carved from a single piece of crystalline quartz, shines in the light, refracting it and creating remarkable optical effects. Some of them, such as the one exhibited in the British Museum, are about 20 centimeters tall and weigh more than 3 kilograms. Their smooth surface evokes a cold, tactile response, while the play of light within the transparent material creates the sensation that the skull is alive. The empty eye sockets, as if watching you, evoke a sense of unease, making you wonder what stories these silent witnesses could tell. There are conflicting theories about their origin. Some researchers claim they are ancient artifacts with mystical properties used in rituals, while others insist they are skillful forgeries from the 19th century. For example, the California skull was sold for enormous sums and became a subject of disputes among collectors and scientists. Some specialists, such as Dr. Douglas C. Wilson, conducted research using modern technologies that revealed traces of processing characteristic of tools from the 19th century. These findings raise even more questions about how and when these objects were created. It is interesting that many skulls are said to possess properties that can be called crystalline and are believed to be able to accumulate and transmit energy. One of the most famous examples is the skull said to have been found in a Maya temple in Belize, which, according to legends, has healing properties. Some researchers claim that they can be used for predicting the future or even for communicating with supernatural forces. Nevertheless, the lack of scientific evidence only adds to the mystique of these artifacts. As a result, the skulls have become not only objects of scientific study, but also sources of endless legends, myths, and disputes among historians and archaeologists. These crystal objects, surrounded by an aura of mystery, continue to attract attention, sparking interest and curiosity, as well as debates about what they represent: ancient relics or modern forgeries. Currently, it is known that some of them have been sold at auctions for hundreds of thousands of dollars, underscoring their status not only as historical artifacts, but also as collectible items. The Curse of the Pharaohs, astonishingly, became a sensation in archaeological circles, especially after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Lord Carnarvon, who funded the expedition, died just a few months after the tomb's opening, sparking rumors of a mysterious curse that supposedly afflicted those who disturbed the ancient dead. His death was attributed to a mosquito bite and subsequent infection, but for many, this was too simple an explanation. Notably, when Carnarvon died, the electricity was cut off in Cairo, and his dog in England howled on the night of his death. These eerie coincidences inspired further searches for other examples. Within just a few years of the tomb's discovery, several members of the expedition, including the doctor who performed the autopsy, died. This string of tragedies fueled the legend of a curse that supposedly affected anyone who dared to disturb the pharaoh's rest. However, scientific explanations for this phenomenon are no less intriguing. Scientists suggest that the cause of death could have been the effect of toxic mold spores that thrive in the stale air of ancient burial chambers, where oxygen levels can be extremely low. Such conditions can cause headaches, hallucinations, and severe illnesses. The gloom that reigns in the tombs, where dim torchlight illuminates hieroglyphic warnings of death and misfortune, creates an atmosphere of fear and dread. Psychological factors also play a role. People expecting misfortune can become their own worst enemies, succumbing to anxious thoughts. Experts note that fear can weaken the immune system, making people more susceptible to diseases. Scientific research shows that such phenomena are not new. Throughout history, many expeditions have encountered curses, not always due to real threats. On January 18, 1924, the renowned archaeologist Archibald Douglas Hamilton also died, but his death was due to pneumonia. This only confirms that fear of the unknown can be more dangerous than the threat itself. The complex of factors surrounding the curse of the pharaohs generates interest in archaeology, as it touches not only the physical aspects of excavations, but also the psychological, making the study of ancient civilizations even more captivating. Against the backdrop of dark walls adorned with carvings and the scent of antiquity filling every crevice, there is a sense that history is not just dead, but continues to live, teasing us with its mysteries. In the heart of the highlands of Bolivia lie the Gateway of the Sun, a monumental portal carved from a single andesite monolith weighing around 10 tons. These gates reach a height of about 3 meters and a width of 4 meters, impressing with their massiveness and grandeur. On the central part of the portal is a bas-relief depicting a god with rays, symbolizing solar energy and life force. Scholars propose numerous theories about its astronomical significance, linking it to the solar calendar of ancient civilizations. The gates likely served as markers for equinoxes and solstices, allowing the ancient inhabitants of Tiwanaku to track important astronomical events. Remarkably, the portal is oriented such that sunlight penetrates through it on certain days of the year, creating an effect that could have been used in rituals. Around the central figure are mysterious symbols, many of which remain undeciphered. These signs may have been used to convey knowledge about the cosmos and cycles of time. In the thin air of the highlands, where each breath requires effort, the play of light and shadow on the carved surfaces of the gates creates a sense of a sacred space where time seems to stand still. Since their construction, probably around 12 centuries ago, the Gateway of the Sun has continued to attract researchers seeking to understand its full significance and role in the culture of Tiwanaku. Notably, archaeologists have found remnants of temples and sacrificial platforms near the gates, indicating the site's importance for the spiritual life of ancient peoples. Each element of the Gateway of the Sun, from its dimensions to its ornamentation, is filled with deep symbolism, reflecting the high level of astronomical knowledge and cultural traditions of the Tiwanaku civilization. In the caves of Liguria, on the northern coast of Italy, ancient rock paintings have been discovered that spark genuine interest among scientists and researchers. These images, estimated to be around 30,000 years old, depict peculiar figures that resemble modern-day submarines. Smooth lines, elongated shapes, and distinctive details create the impression that ancient artists could have captured something that we today associate with submarines. The caves are located at significant depths, and the cool air and subdued light create an atmosphere of mystery that envelops these artifacts. Those who have visited the caves speak of how the sound of dripping water and a gentle breeze make one feel as if time has stopped. Researchers like Dr. Fabio Rossini from the University of Genoa have proposed various interpretations of these figures, ranging from fantastical theories suggesting they are evidence of ancient technologies, to more rational explanations that they are stylized images of boats or even animals. Some scientists believe the paintings may reflect ancient myths or religious beliefs, depicting gods in the form of underwater creatures. Others, more pragmatic, suggest that these images might simply represent familiar animal forms like fish or dolphins, albeit distorted. The complexity of interpreting these paintings only serves to underscore their enigmatic nature. Each person who enters these caves can feel the weight of history on the walls, as if the ancient artists left a message for future generations. Thus, Liguria remains a place where science meets mystery, and questions about the origin and meaning of these images remain unanswered. These rock paintings are not just artifacts. They are keys to understanding how people perceived their world and sought to capture it in their own artistic language. Some of the figures reach a height of 1 meter and a width of up to 1.5 meters, making them noticeable even in the dim light of the caves. Research continues, and each new discovery opens new horizons for understanding the mysteries left by our ancestors. Remarkably, the Aztec calendar system is astonishingly complex and precise, surpassing many modern methods. The main components of this system are the ritual calendar Tonalpohualli, consisting of 260 days, and the solar calendar Xiuhpohualli, which includes 365 days. These two calendars operated in parallel and created a unique synergy, forming a 52-year cycle known as a century. Both calendars contain 20 signs, each associated with a specific deity and having its own ritual significance. The Aztecs did not merely count time, they meticulously observed the stars and predicted astronomical phenomena. For instance, they could accurately predict solar eclipses, as evidenced by numerous records in their chronicles. These observations were integral to their religious beliefs, where time was considered cyclical and sacred. Over the course of 52 years, ritual ceremonies were conducted to honor the gods, and at the end of this cycle, the Aztecs held grand celebrations, such as the New Fire ceremony. At this time, they believed the world could end, and they lit a new flame to ensure the continuation of life. This tradition was not just a ritual, but an essential part of their culture, fostering societal unity. Throughout the cycle, the Aztecs marked the rhythmic flow of time, accompanied by complex ceremonies and sacrifices aimed at maintaining cosmic order. Each day had its significance and corresponding ritual that needed to be performed to maintain harmony with nature and the gods. The Aztecs made every effort to correctly perform their rituals, and their calendar system served as the foundation for this purpose. As a result, their understanding of time was not only scientific, but deeply spiritual, and their calendar became a vital tool in the life of Aztec society, regulating agriculture, festivals, and rituals. The Aztec calendar system continues to amaze historians and astronomers, demonstrating how ancient civilizations could achieve remarkable heights in astronomy and mathematics. This precision speaks to a deep understanding of nature and time that the Aztecs developed over centuries. The legend of the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, has captivated attention and sparked debate for centuries. These gardens were reportedly terraced structures supported by columns, adorned with exotic trees and flowers, creating the illusion of a green paradise in the heart of Mesopotamia. Archaeologists describe them as multi-level constructions reaching heights of up to 20 meters, with tiered terraces, each platform edged with greenery and flowers. A complex irrigation system was developed to sustain life in these gardens, lifting water from the Euphrates River using various mechanisms, including shadows and wind-driven pumps. This ensured regular watering of the plants, crucial in the region's hot climate where temperatures could reach 40 degrees Celsius. Despite their fame, direct archaeological evidence of the existence of the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis has not been found, leading to ongoing debates about their reality. Some researchers suggest that the gardens may have been located not in Babylon, but in another place, such as Nineveh, adding to the mystery of this story. Imagine the scent of exotic plants mingling with the refreshing aroma of water flowing through the canals, creating an oasis amidst the surrounding desert. The shade provided by the trees offered respite from the scorching sun, while the contrast of green with the yellow sands of Mesopotamia inspired awe and wonder among ancient inhabitants and travelers. Even descriptions of these gardens have been left by the ancient Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, who mentioned them in the 1st century BC, describing them as extraordinary and unique. Nevertheless, the lack of physical evidence has led historians and archaeologists to reassess their views, raising the question of whether these wonders were indeed created by human hands or are merely products of imagination. Consequently, the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis remain a symbol of beauty and mystery, inspiring contemporary art and culture, even as their actual existence is questioned. The stereotype that ancient people believed the Earth was flat is unfounded, as knowledge of the Earth's sphericity existed long before the time of Columbus. In the 6th century BC, Pythagoreans like Pythagoras posited that the Earth was spherical, based on observations of the shape of the moon and sun, as well as the symmetry of celestial bodies. Aristotle, who lived in the 4th century BC, provided several proofs for this theory. He noted the circular shadow of the Earth that appeared on the moon during lunar eclipses, and observed that certain stars that were previously visible disappeared over the horizon when traveling south. These observations supported the idea that the Earth was not flat, but spherical. In the 2nd century BC, Eratosthenes, the director of the Library of Alexandria, made remarkable measurements, calculating the circumference of the Earth with an accuracy of about 100 kilometers using a simple yet ingenious method. He compared the angles of sunlight in two different cities, Syene and Alexandria. In Syene, where sunlight fell vertically, in Alexandria it formed an angle of 7 degrees. This allowed Eratosthenes to determine that the distance between the cities was approximately 5,000 kilometers, and knowing the angle, he managed to calculate the entire circumference of the Earth. Educated people in most ancient civilizations, such as ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, also recognized the spherical shape of the planet. They carefully studied the starry sky, noting that stars revolved around the North Star, and understood that this was related to the Earth's movement. Additionally, sailors, observing ships that disappeared over the horizon, also drew conclusions about the shape of the Earth. First the mast was visible, then the hull, which confirmed that the surface of the planet was curved. These knowledge of the Earth's sphericity served as the basis for many scientific discoveries that followed. From an astronomical perspective, Ptolemy in his work Almagest in the 1st century AD continued to develop ideas about the spherical Earth, which became the basis for astronomical calculations in medieval Europe. The enigmatic Sphinx in Giza, with its intent gaze and weathered surface, invites thoughts about its history being far deeper than commonly believed. Geologists like Dr. Robert Schoch from Boston University assert that the erosional marks on its body point to the influence of rains that could have occurred on this land more than 10,000 years ago. This contradicts the widely accepted version that the Sphinx was built around 2,500 years before our era. Evidence gathered by Schoch suggests that such marks could only have formed under conditions of significant rainfall, implying that the climate of the region in those ancient times was vastly different from today. Furthermore, the astronomical orientation of the Sphinx, directed towards the constellation Leo, supports the hypothesis of its more ancient origin. According to astronomers' research, such an orientation could have been relevant approximately in the 10th millennium before our era, adding another layer to the mystery of its creation. Imagine the interplay of light and shadow on its ravaged face, emphasizing every crack and protrusion, creating a sense of antiquity that transcends time. This silent sentinel, standing at the edge of the desert, seems to hold not only the secrets of its time, but also the memories of civilizations that no longer exist. Each glance at it makes one ponder the knowledge and skills that could have been available to its creators, who might have witnessed not only the rising of stars, but also the changes in climate that brought the rains, leaving their mark on the stone. Scientific debates about the age of the Sphinx continue, and an increasing number of researchers are re-evaluating established notions about its origin. Immovable, it continues to observe the world as it did 1,000,000 years ago, remaining for us a mystery yet to be unraveled. Additionally, there are other artifacts such as mysterious stone structures and tools found near the Sphinx, which may confirm the existence of a highly advanced civilization that inhabited this area long before the rise of the pharaoh dynasties. Each new artifact adds a new note to the symphony of antiquity that this monument represents. The Sphinx, dusted by the sands of time, remains a symbol of unsolved mysteries deeply rooted in the sands of history. Imagine a black basalt stone, covered with 3 identical texts in different languages, rising above the other finds of the ancient world. This is the Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1812 during a French expedition in Egypt, which became the key to deciphering the mysterious language of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The stele is approximately 1 meter in height and 70 centimeters in width, with its rough surface contrasting with the neatly carved signs that, after centuries, began to reveal their secrets once again. The stone bears 3 texts, the upper one in ancient Greek, the middle one in Demotic, and the lower one in hieroglyphic. This multilingual text became the basis for the work of the renowned French scholar Jean-François Champollion, who first deciphered the hieroglyphs in 1822, using the Greek text as a reference point. He observed that many signs had phonetic value and could represent not only words, but also sounds, which fundamentally changed the approach to the study of ancient Egyptian writing. Thanks to his research, the history of ancient Egypt ceased to be a mystery, and new horizons opened up for understanding the culture, religion, and daily life of the Egyptians. Soon after the decipherment of the hieroglyphs, important texts such as the Book of the Dead, containing spells and prayers intended to aid souls in the afterlife, became accessible. This discovery allowed scholars to delve into a world where pharaohs ruled and gods controlled the destinies of people. The Rosetta Stone became a symbol not only of the decipherment of a language, but of an entire epoch in archaeology, opening doors to the past. Champollion, analyzing the signs, concluded that Egyptian writing was not just an alphabet, but a complex system that included hieroglyphs, which could serve as both symbols and sounds. This complexity led to the creation of a new science, Egyptology, and the Rosetta Stone became its founder, allowing subsequent generations of researchers to study the remarkable civilization that left its mark on the sands of time. Interestingly, the stone eventually ended up in the British Museum, where it can be seen today and is an object of veneration for thousands of people eager to touch history. Imagine massive stone blocks standing in perfect symmetry under the blinding sun, with the wind playing on their surfaces, creating a melody that resonates in the hearts of those who find themselves here. Stonehenge, located in southern England, is not just a collection of enormous stones, but a mysterious structure that may have served as an ancient observatory, ritual center, or even a place of healing. Each block, weighing up to 50 tons, was transported from quarries located up to 240 kilometers away. Research has shown that some of the blocks were cut from blue stones, while others, more massive, were made from limestone. How they were moved remains a mystery, but archaeologists suggest that primitive technologies such as wooden sleds and rollers were used. Remarkably, these massive stones were positioned with precise astronomical accuracy, so that during the summer and winter solstices, the sun's rays pass between them, creating unique light effects. There is a theory that Stonehenge may have served as an astronomical calendar, allowing ancient people to track seasons and important agricultural cycles. Around this megalith, there are many legends. Some believe that rituals dedicated to the sun and moon were conducted here, while others suggest that it could have been a place of healing, where the sick and afflicted gathered. Archaeologists like M.C. Burke and D.W. Edwards have studied these aspects, trying to reconstruct the appearance of the ancient society that left us this remarkable structure. Within this enclosure, the whisper of the wind passing between the stones creates an atmosphere of mystery that permeates everything. These blocks, silent witnesses to millennia, hold many secrets that may never be solved. They continue to inspire awe and curiosity in researchers and tourists who come here to feel the coolness of the ancient slabs and ponder the role Stonehenge played in the lives of its creators. Every year, on the day of the summer solstice, thousands of people gather at this megalith to witness the sunrise and feel connected to ancient traditions. This place becomes a living symbol of unsolved mysteries and human history that continues for tens of thousands of years. Scientists continue to study and analyze the findings around Stonehenge, including burials, tools, and other artifacts, to better understand how and why this magnificent structure was built. Given that Stonehenge was built between the 13th and 10th centuries BC, it has become a significant object of study not only for Anglo-Saxon culture, but for ancient civilizations in general. It is likely that its creators used complex geometric calculations to achieve such precision in the placement of the stones, which continues to amaze modern science. The sounds created by the wind can evoke the feeling that these stones are alive, and the sun's rays passing through the gaps create a captivating spectacle that leaves an unforgettable impression on all who find themselves in this mysterious place. In the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, there are mysterious images that attract the attention of researchers and lovers of ancient artifacts. On the reliefs, there are elongated objects resembling incandescent lamps with a thin rod inside, which can be interpreted as a filament. These objects are connected to something that appears to be a power source, which has sparked numerous speculations about the possible use of electricity in ancient Egypt. Some scholars claim that these images could serve as evidence of advanced technologies that existed at the time, which we still cannot fully comprehend. Others propose more traditional explanations, interpreting these objects as symbolic depictions of the lotus flower and the rising sun, which were characteristic of Egyptian mythology. These reliefs are located in a dimly lit temple, where a subdued light falls on their surfaces, creating an atmosphere of mystery and a sense of touching ancient secrets. Inside the temple, gilded artifacts that may have been used for rituals and vibrant colors on the walls that remarkably retain their brightness despite the passage of time have been preserved. Research shows that some of these pigments contain chemical elements that could indicate the knowledge of ancient Egyptians about various chemical processes. For example, a study conducted in 2010 revealed the presence of copper and lead in the pigments, suggesting complex methods of their production. These findings challenge traditional notions about the scientific level of ancient civilizations, raising questions about how deep their knowledge could have been. In this context, the lamps of Dendera become not just works of art, but genuine keys to understanding the technological and cultural level of ancient Egypt. Intriguing details about other evidence of possible chemical and electrical knowledge of the ancients become increasingly apparent when we begin to consider such artifacts as ancient tools that could have been used for various purposes, possibly even for lighting. In this temple, every element, every detail carries a secret, making us ponder what else we might learn about civilizations that left us such enigmatic traces of their existence. In the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, technologies are described that, according to modern interpretations, could astonish anyone. For instance, one fragment speaks of shining weapons that emit light brighter than 1,000 suns. This is not just a poetic metaphor. Such descriptions create an image of destructive power capable of altering the very nature of things. After the use of this weapon, food became poisoned, and survivors lost their hair and nails. These accounts evoke a sense of awe, as they can be interpreted as foreshadowing technologies that we can only vaguely imagine today. Vedic texts mention flying machines called vimanas, which, according to legends, could travel not only through the air, but also over water and even in space. Some researchers claim that these machines had the ability to fly silently, making them analogous to modern aircraft. Chinese sources describe mirrors that could transmit images at a distance, reminiscent of video and photography technologies. These texts convey a contrast between archaic language and the modern-sounding descriptions of the technologies. Reading such passages gives the feeling of touching ancient knowledge that has been lost or forgotten. It is important to note that such mentions are not isolated cases. For example, in the Ramayana, there is a story about magical arrows that could incinerate targets at great distances. These arrows are described as able to destroy entire armies with a single shot. Researchers like the Indian historian Rajagopal Chakravarti emphasize that such descriptions could indicate a level of knowledge about physics and mechanics that is not inferior to modern standards. Some even suggest that these texts may contain the seeds of scientific research that were ahead of their time. One of the most intriguing aspects is how ancient cultures interpreted their technological achievements and how they might influence our understanding of progress. Ancient Indian texts written in Sanskrit are filled with allegories and symbolism, but they also contain specific details that modern scientific minds try to decipher. For example, a copper pot mentioned in one story could be a prototype of modern food storage containers that protect products from spoilage. Ancient civilizations possessed knowledge about storage and preservation that may have been lost over the centuries. Viewing these texts opens not only a cultural heritage, but also a scientific potential that was embedded in them. The technologies described seem like dormant titans, ready to awaken with a new look at history. In the Mahabharata, there are also mentions of divine bows, which, as it is claimed, were made from materials obtained from the gods themselves, adding a mystical element to the discussion of technologies. These legends inspire further research and discussions, as if they truly reflect the achievements of ancient civilizations. They change our understanding of history and technological progress. In the tropical forests of Central America, amidst dense thickets and tangles of lianas, lie abandoned cities that were once teeming with life, but are now shrouded in mystery. During the 8th and 9th centuries of our era, the Maya civilization unexpectedly left their magnificent cities, such as Tikal and Palenque, which were centers of culture, science, and trade. The bustle of ancient markets and the laughter of children gave way to a hushed silence, and the temples that once towered over the green landscapes became witnesses to oblivion. The presence of wild animals like jaguars and monkeys fills these places with sounds that echo in the silence, creating an atmosphere of mystery and desolation. Researchers still debate the causes of this disappearance. One of the main theories suggests that the Maya faced a prolonged drought that affected the region in the 9th century, leading to water and food shortages. Research conducted in the 90s of the 20th century showed that rainfall decreased by 30%, which could explain the economic collapse and population migration. Other scientists point to the depletion of resources, as intensive agricultural practices aimed at increasing yields were destroying the soil and causing erosion. In his works, such as Collapse: How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed, Jared Diamond argues that a combination of ecological factors and human activities led to catastrophic consequences. Epidemics may also have played a role, as infectious diseases could spread rapidly in densely populated cities. Wars between various city-states, as evidenced by archaeological finds, could have weakened society and eroded unity. Social unrest caused by economic hardships could also have undermined stability. These factors, intertwining, led to the transformation of once prosperous centers of civilization into abandoned ruins swallowed by nature. In this context, the sense of mystery and desolation becomes even more pronounced. The rustling of leaves wrapping around ancient stone walls and the wind sweeping through the ruins create an atmosphere of abandoned grandeur. 80% of all Maya cities, such as Copan and Chichen Itza, were left behind, and their histories remain incomplete, making their study particularly intriguing for archaeologists. Each stone here holds secrets yet to be revealed. Deep beneath the earth of Cappadocia lies a remarkable world of subterranean cities that can accommodate thousands of people and have up to 20 levels delving into the volcanic tuff. These cities, such as Derinkuyu and Kaimakli, are complex systems featuring ventilation shafts, wells, and even security systems with massive stone doors that could be closed from the inside. Research indicates that these cities could serve as shelters for local residents during enemy raids or persecutions. For instance, the subterranean city of Derinkuyu reaches a depth of approximately 1,200 meters at its deepest level and could accommodate up to 20,000 people. The cool air permeating the tunnels gives these underground spaces a unique atmosphere, while the muffled sound of footsteps on the stone floor creates a sense of protection from the outside world. In some of these subterranean cities, remnants of winemaking facilities have been found, suggesting that wine was stored and produced here, as evidenced by the discovery of ancient presses and ceramic vessels dating back to the 2nd century BC. Some scholars believe that certain of these subterranean complexes were used as religious centers, from which local residents could conduct rituals while hiding from enemy eyes. The flickering light of torches on the walls of volcanic tuff creates a mesmerizing sight, highlighting the uniqueness of these places. Archaeologists like Dr. Emre Gürkan have been studying these subterranean cities since the early 2000s, and their findings continue to reveal new aspects of the lives of ancient peoples. According to their estimates, Cappadocia's subterranean cities number up to 300 complexes, many of which remain unexplored. These cities are not just architectural monuments, but living witnesses to a complex history filled with mysteries and enigmas that demand further study. 80% of the subterranean city of Derinkuyu remains unexplored, and its scale is awe-inspiring, offering a unique opportunity for archaeologists and historians. The Library of Alexandria was not merely an archive, but a symbol of the intellect and knowledge of the ancient world, where up to 700,000 scrolls were kept, covering all aspects of human thought, from philosophy to mathematics. Established in the 3rd century BC by order of Ptolemy I, it became the epicenter of cultural exchange, attracting scholars from all over the Mediterranean. Every ship arriving in the port of Alexandria was subjected to meticulous inspection. All books and scrolls found on board were copied, while the originals remained in the library. This approach ensured the continuous updating of the collection, making the library the largest repository of knowledge of its time. The rustle of papyrus scrolls echoed the whispers of wise men, while the scent of parchment mixed with the aroma of lamp oil created a unique atmosphere where scholars could spend hours engrossed in reading and research. The library was home to such luminaries as Euclid and Archimedes, and a place where ideas converged and evolved. However, the fate of this cultural treasure was tragic. There are several theories about how the library declined. One of the most well-known versions is the fire that broke out during Julius Caesar's siege of Alexandria in 40 BC, which destroyed part of the library. Other historians claim that the library may have lost a significant portion of its scrolls due to the destructive edicts of Caliph Omar in the 7th century, which ordered the destruction of pagan texts. A third theory suggests a gradual decline, where the library lost its significance and its collections were forgotten. In any case, by the beginning of the 2nd millennium AD, the Library of Alexandria was no longer the source of knowledge it once was. Its grandeur could not be restored, and only memories of it remained in the works of other authors. It is unlikely that we will ever know the exact causes of its demise, but there is no doubt that it was one of humanity's greatest cultural achievements. There is a belief that before its final loss, the library held unique scrolls containing works that are now lost forever. In Knossos, on the island of Crete, stood a palace that continues to amaze with its architecture. It was a multi-level structure with hundreds of rooms connected by intricate corridors, rivaling any modern building in size and complexity. Constructed in the early 2nd millennium BCE, it served as the center of the Minoan civilization. Its dimensions are staggering. Covering an area of around 20,000 square meters, it was one of the largest palaces of its time. The architects employed advanced engineering systems, including complex water supply and drainage systems, ensuring clean water in the rooms and proper disposal of waste. Vibrant frescoes depicting scenes of life, animals, and mythical creatures adorned the walls, creating a festive and lively atmosphere. One of the most famous frescoes is the Bull Dance, which underscores the importance of the bull cult in Minoan culture. Evidence suggests that the bull was not only significant in religious rituals, but also a symbol of strength and fertility. The myth of the Minotaur and the labyrinth, which emerged around this palace, reflects its complex architecture. The legend tells of the Minotaur, a creature half bull, half human, living in a labyrinth built by King Minos, inspiring countless artists and writers to create their own interpretations. At the heart of the palace was the throne room, surrounded by columns where important ceremonies were likely held. The throne, carved from stone, symbolized the power and grandeur of the ruler. Along the corridors were storage rooms filled with food supplies and other resources. Research indicates that the Minoans used linear A script for inventory, demonstrating a high level of organization and management. Light filtering through light wells played on the walls, creating shadows and light patterns, while the scent of the sea wafting through open courtyards added a fresh atmosphere. The sounds of palace life, footsteps, conversations, laughter, echoed through the corridors, giving the impression of constant movement and vitality. The Knossos Palace became not only a symbol of the architectural genius of the ancient Minoans, but also a repository of many mysteries that continue to captivate researchers. Ancient medical practices are astonishing in their variety and complexity, as evidenced by archaeological finds and historical documents. In the Neolithic period, surgeons were already performing trepanation, a procedure involving drilling holes in the skull. For this, primitive tools such as obsidian scrapers and stone chisels were used. Research shows that many patients survived these operations. Healed bone fragments found on skulls indicate a high level of medical knowledge and skill among ancient physicians. In Pompeii, archaeologists discovered surgical instruments dating back to the 1st century AD, including scalpels, forceps, and needles made of bronze and iron. These tools demonstrate that ancient Romans paid great attention to surgery and anatomy. Egyptian medical papyri, such as the Ebers Papyrus, contain recipes and descriptions of various medical procedures, including surgical interventions and the use of medicinal herbs. These texts mention anesthetics like opium and extracts of various plants used to alleviate pain during operations. Imagine the scent of fresh herbs mingling with the smoke from burning oils, creating an atmosphere of hope and fear. Ayurvedic practices in India, developed over thousands of years, were based on a holistic approach to health, including surgical methods based on knowledge of anatomy and physiology. For example, in ancient India, physicians used methods similar to modern operations, such as removing stones from the bladder. These procedures were performed with remarkable precision, as confirmed by historical records and archaeological finds. The perception of pain by ancient patients was likely different. On one hand, they experienced fear of the unknown. On the other, hope for healing. The sound of instruments touching bones could cause anxiety, but the skilled hands of surgeons and their knowledge gave many people a chance to survive. These methods demonstrate a high level of medical knowledge and skill that existed long before the advent of modern technologies. Trepanation, the surgeons of Pompeii, the medical papyri, and Ayurvedic practices, all these facts underscore how far medicine had advanced before our era. At an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level in the highlands of Bolivia, there is a mysterious structure called Puma Punku, where stone blocks astonish with their incredible precision. Some of these blocks weigh up to 800 tons and represent true engineering marvels. The surfaces of these massive stones are perfectly smooth and the angles are completely straight, giving the impression that they were cut using advanced technologies that we cannot imagine. This is truly unique, considering that the blocks are made of such hard materials as andesite and granite, the processing of which, even with modern tools, is challenging. It is also intriguing that between many blocks, one can notice metal clamps that connect them. But the origin of these clamps and the technology used to apply them remain unclear. The lack of written evidence about the construction of Puma Punku adds even more mysteries, leaving scientists baffled. Against the backdrop of the harsh mountain landscape, where the air is thin and fills the lungs with freshness, silence reigns, and only the wind whispers about the past. The contrast between the rough rocks surrounding the ruins and the incredible precision of the stonework creates the feeling that two epochs intertwine here: wild nature and human genius. This entire atmosphere makes one ponder What knowledge and technologies were available to ancient builders to create such impressive structures that continue to inspire awe and curiosity among researchers and travelers? Puma Punku is not without reason considered one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in the world. Its stone blocks, perfectly fitted together, speak of the incredible skill and craftsmanship of the people who created this place. For centuries, knowledge held by ancient secret societies was accessible only to a select few. The mysteries of Eleusis, which existed in ancient Greece, were one of the most famous examples of such societies. These rituals, dedicated to the goddess of fertility Demeter and her daughter Persephone, took place in Eleusis, where initiates, after undergoing initiation rites, gained access to profound secrets of life and death. Initiations included symbolic acts such as contemplating sacred objects, creating an atmosphere of sacrality and mysticism. Participants passed through dark catacombs where torchlight cast shadows on the walls, creating the illusion of another world. The Pythagorean Union, founded by the philosopher Pythagoras in the 6th century BCE, was another such society. Pythagoreans adhered to strict rules, including oaths of silence, which emphasized the secrecy of their teachings. They studied mathematics, music, and astronomy, linking these knowledge areas with philosophical concepts. For instance, their belief in numbers as the foundations of all existence was a cornerstone of their worldview. They gathered in their homes to discuss complex mathematical theorems and philosophical ideas, using symbolic gestures and passwords shared only with the chosen few. The cult of Mithras, which emerged in the Roman Empire, also had its secret rituals. In this cult, dedicated to the god of light Mithras, complex initiation rites were practiced, including the ritual sacrifice of a bull, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness. Participants gathered in underground sanctuaries where torchlight created an atmosphere of mysticism and secrecy. The knowledge preserved within this cult encompassed not only religious aspects, but also philosophical ones, concerning the nature of the human soul and its connection to the divine. These societies employed a multi-level system of initiation, where each level opened new knowledge and understanding. Participants gained access to secrets gradually, fostering a sense of belonging to something greater than everyday experience. Such practices and rituals contributed to the formation of a unique culture where knowledge was passed down from generation to generation. Secret gatherings held by torchlight created a sense of unity with ancestors and a feeling of belonging to ancient traditions. The knowledge held by these secret societies covered a wide range of topics, from practical skills such as medicine and astronomy to deep philosophical reflections on the nature of being. For example, the astronomical observations of the Pythagoreans laid the foundation for later scientific discoveries, while the mysteries of Eleusis influenced the development of Western philosophy. These secret knowledge, inaccessible to the majority, created an aura of mystery and allure around ancient traditions that continue to captivate and inspire even in the modern world. Studying these societies allows us not only to understand how ancient civilizations perceived the world and their place in it, but also to see how their legacy continues to influence our present. Secret societies such as the Mysteries of Eleusis, the Pythagorean Union, and the Cult of Mithras left a lasting impact on history, opening doors to a world where knowledge and mystery were inseparable. The mystical rituals and symbolism used in these traditions continue to inspire seekers of knowledge worldwide. Few people know that ancient Romans created concrete that not only withstood the test of time, but also became stronger with each passing century. This unique material, known as pozzolana, was created by adding volcanic ash, allowing the concrete to harden even underwater. As a result, Roman builders were able to construct magnificent structures like the Pantheon, which still amazes with its size and architectural harmony. The dome of the Pantheon has a diameter of 43 meters and remains the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. Romans were also renowned for their aqueducts, which used this strong concrete to create water supply systems that provided cities with fresh water. For example, the aqueduct of Segovia, built in the 1st century AD, was over 40 kilometers long and supplied water to Rome from sources located far from the city. Imagine the coolness that Roman residents felt when entering the baths, where water from the aqueducts filled the pools, creating an atmosphere of luxury and comfort even on hot summer days. These baths, such as the baths of Caracalla, were not just places for bathing, but also social centers where Romans could exchange news and ideas. The smoothness of the stone polished over centuries under the fingers of visitors to the baths reminded them of the skill of Roman stonecutters who used only the best materials. Roman roads built with the latest technologies served not only for the movement of troops, but also facilitated trade and cultural exchange. Their ideal construction, including layers of gravel and concrete, allowed the roads to remain in excellent condition for centuries. There are roads that have survived to this day, such as the Appian Way, which was laid in the 3rd century BC and is still in use. These engineering achievements demonstrate not only the high level of technical knowledge of the Romans, but also their ability to integrate innovations into everyday life. Engineers like Vitruvius documented their knowledge, allowing others to learn from their experience and contribute new ideas to architecture and construction. Roman building technologies became the foundation for many modern methods, and their legacy continues to live in our world. Romans were skilled not only in creating durable structures, but also aesthetically pleasing buildings that inspired subsequent generations of architects and engineers. In every stone, every arch, and every aqueduct, one feels the power and grandeur of the Roman civilization, which left an indelible mark on history. It's hard to imagine how the ancient Egyptians managed to build the pyramids that continue to inspire awe and bewilderment. To construct the Pyramid of Khufu, master craftsmen used stone blocks weighing up to 80 tons each, which were fitted with such precision that the gaps between them did not exceed 1 millimeter. This remarkable skill required not only highly skilled workers, but also complex technologies that remain a subject of heated debate among scholars. The Pyramid of Khufu in Giza was built around 2,500 years before our era and is now one of the most magnificent and mysterious structures surviving from ancient Egypt. The pyramid's orientation to the cardinal directions is almost perfect, with a deviation of less than 1 degree, underscoring the astronomical knowledge of the ancient builders. There are various theories about how these massive blocks were moved, some weighing as much as a whole car. One of the most popular theories suggests the use of ramps, which allowed the blocks to be raised to the required height. However, considering the weight, this would have been extremely challenging. Other researchers claim that levers and pulleys were used, which also required significant effort and coordination. Some even propose that workers used waterways to transport the stones, creating temporary channels to facilitate their movement. Picture this. Under the scorching sun of the desert, thousands of workers, sweating and struggling to lift heavy stones, create this monumental structure. The sound of stone scraping against sand fills the air, while the smell of fresh limestone mixes with sweat and dust, creating a unique atmosphere on the construction site. As the sun sets, casting long shadows from the pyramids, the contrast between the magnificent structures and the vast desert is striking. As the sun descends below the horizon, the workers end their hard day, leaving behind not only stones, but also a history that will be studied for centuries. The complexity and scale of the construction raise many questions, and there is still no consensus on exactly how these monumental structures were built. 80 tons is no small matter, and even today, the technology for moving such weights remains complex and expensive. In ancient times, ziggurats towered over the cities of Mesopotamia, resembling immense steps leading to the heavens, creating the impression that they were a bridge between the human world and the divine. These multi-level structures reached heights of 90 meters and were often built from fired clay bricks, faced with glazed tiles, which gave them an unmistakable shine in the sunlight. Each step of the ziggurat symbolized transition and ascension, and their distinctive staircase-like shape emphasized the ancient people's desire to reach the heavens. There are many theories regarding the purpose of these magnificent structures. Some researchers claim that ziggurats served as temples where priests performed rituals to appease the gods. Others suggest that they served as astronomical observatories, allowing for the observation of celestial phenomena and the prediction of seasonal changes. Some scholars propose that ziggurats could have served as shelters during floods, providing protection for residents trying to escape the overflowing rivers. Finally, there is the belief that these structures were symbols of the world mountain, the central element of cosmology, connecting earth and sky. Climbing the monumental staircases of a ziggurat, one could feel the city becoming increasingly distant, while the view from the upper platform offered breathtaking panoramas of the surroundings. The long shadows cast by the ziggurat at sunset created a magical atmosphere, and the staircases, as if calling out to higher powers, made people ponder their place in the world and what awaited them beyond the confines of earthly existence. Archaeologists have discovered a ziggurat in Ur, dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE, which has survived to this day, giving us insight into what that world might have been like. It is astonishing that ancient civilizations possessed remarkable knowledge in the field of astronomy, enabling them to construct buildings perfectly aligned with celestial phenomena. For instance, the Temple of Abu Simbel in Egypt, built in the 13th century BC during the reign of Pharaoh Ramses II, is illuminated by the sun twice a year, on February 6th and October 21st. During these days, sunlight penetrates through the temple's entrance and illuminates the statues in the sanctuary, creating a mystical atmosphere and evoking awe in the spectators. The effect of this light show, when the darkness of the temple is pierced by the brightness of the sun's rays, revealing divine images, is hard to overestimate. At this time, modern spectators whisper in admiration of the skill of the ancient architects. No less impressive is the Temple of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, constructed around the 9th century AD. During the equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length, an illusion of a slithering snake is created on the pyramid staircase. The interplay of light and shadow on the steps forms a zigzag pattern, symbolizing the serpent god Kukulkan. Thousands of spectators gather at this moment to witness how the sun's rays come to life in the temple, and the wonder on their faces speaks for itself. Stonehenge in England, erected around 3000 years BC, also demonstrates impressive astronomical precision. The orientation of the megalith allows it to align perfectly with the sunrise on the summer solstice. At this moment, the sun's rays pass between the stones, creating mysterious shadow effects that emphasize the grandeur of the ancient structure. The loud admiration of the spectators fills the air as they watch the sun rise over the horizon, illuminating the ancient stones that have stood there for thousands of years. These ancient structures were not merely religious or cultural centers. They were genuine astronomical observatories, allowing people to track celestial events and mark important dates. For example, the Temple of Hercules in Olympia, built around the 8th century BC, also observed the movement of celestial bodies, enabling the organization of the Olympic Games in accordance with solar cycles. This astronomical accuracy testifies to the advanced level of knowledge of ancient civilizations and their ability to integrate these knowledge into architecture. Modern research, conducted with technologies such as laser scanning, allows archaeologists to more accurately determine how these ancient structures were linked to celestial phenomena. This opens new horizons for understanding how ancient people interacted with nature and used its cycles for their well-being. These architectural masterpieces serve as a reminder that for thousands of years, humanity has striven to understand the world around it, and their achievements continue to evoke wonder and admiration. During the equinoxes and solstices, when light and shadow dance on the ancient stones, we can feel a connection with those who lived here before and realize how much we all depend on the cycles of nature. Approximately 40,000 years ago, an extraordinary event occurred on the European continent. The Cro-Magnons, ancestors of modern humans, emerged onto the stage of history, bringing with them something astonishing: art. Archaeologists have discovered their creations in places such as the Lascaux Cave in France, where realistic animal images adorn the walls, executed with such precision and expressiveness that they can still amaze modern artists. These ancient artists used red and black pigments, which they created from natural materials like ochre and charcoal, mixed with fats. In caves lit by flickering light from primitive lamps made of fat and reeds, artists worked on their masterpieces, imbuing stone walls with life. The cave paintings of the Cro-Magnons did not merely depict animals, but were likely part of hunting rituals or spirit invocation, as evidenced by their complex symbolism and context. In addition to their art, the Cro-Magnons possessed remarkable technical skills. They made bone needles with eyes for sewing clothes, harpoons for catching fish, and atlatls, spear throwers that increased the range of their projectiles. These achievements raise the question: how did the Cro-Magnons develop such skills if they had no apparent predecessors? Their appearance in the archaeological record seems like a sudden leap, as if they emerged from nowhere with a powerful culture and technological prowess that indicated a high level of intelligence and social interaction. It is important to remember that the Cro-Magnons did not merely exist. They left behind a legacy in the form of sculptures like the Venus figurines, which demonstrate their understanding of aesthetics and symbolism. These figures, made from soft stone or mammoth ivory, reflect their views on beauty and fertility. A sense of connection with these ancient artists permeates even through the centuries. We can only imagine them sitting in their caves, surrounded by darkness, with flickering colors on damp walls, creating works that have endured for many centuries. Their art and technologies laid the foundation for subsequent cultures, and the Cro-Magnons had a significant impact on the development of humanity. This period was a true flourishing of human creativity and innovation, leaving an indelible mark on history. As a result, the Cro-Magnons were not just hunters and gatherers. They were the first artists who recognized their connection to the world, leaving behind a rich heritage that continues to inspire awe and study. In the tropical forests of Costa Rica, mysterious stone spheres are hidden, which attract the attention of researchers and tourists alike. These perfectly round stones vary in size from several centimeters to 2.5 meters in diameter and can weigh up to 16 tons. Made primarily from granodiorite, they astonish with their nearly perfect spherical shape, raising questions about the technology used to create them. The spheres are arranged in various geometric patterns, suggesting that they may have served specific functions, such as astronomical markers. Some researchers propose that these stones could have been symbols of status for ancient peoples living in this region, while others suggest they were used as navigational aids to help travelers orient themselves in the dense jungle. The atmosphere around these stones is captivating. The humid air of the tropical forest fills the lungs, and the contrast between the perfectly polished spheres and the chaotic vegetation creates a sense of touching an ancient enigma that nature and time are trying to hide. Local residents have long passed down legends about the origin of these stones, but there is still no definitive answer to the question of who created them and why. Research conducted in the mid-20th century revealed more than 200 such spheres scattered across Costa Rica, but most of them remain an unsolved mystery. Some spheres were found near ancient settlements, indicating that they may have been part of cultural or religious rituals. Each stone carries a history that humanity is still unable to fully decipher. The unique properties of these spheres, including their weight and size, raise questions about how ancient peoples could have moved and processed such massive objects without modern technology. The spheres were likely moved using primitive tools and methods, such as wooden rollers and a system of pulleys. Scientific research continues, and with each new discovery, there is a chance to get closer to the mysteries of the past. Currently, it can be said that the stone spheres of Costa Rica remain one of the most intriguing archaeological finds in Central America. The ancient Egyptians created the Book of the Dead, a unique collection of spells and instructions that served as a guide for souls seeking to overcome the dangers of the afterlife, known as the Duat. This text, written on papyrus, contained more than 200 spells, each with its own purpose and applicable to various situations that a soul might encounter on its journey to the afterlife. A central aspect of the Egyptians' beliefs about the afterlife was the weighing of the heart before the god Osiris. This trial determined the fate of the deceased. If the heart was lighter than the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth, the soul could enter the fields of Aru, a paradise where eternal joy and bliss reigned. If the heart was heavier, the demon-like entity Ammit would consume it, signifying the final destruction of the soul. The journey into the afterlife was not easy. Souls had to face various challenges, such as overcoming hostile creatures and navigating dark waters. Mummification, a complex process involving the removal of internal organs and the treatment of the body with special substances, was a crucial step in preparing for life after death. This was done to preserve the body, which was believed to be essential for the soul's existence in the afterlife. In addition to mummies, tombs contained numerous objects, food and drink, furniture, and decorations. These items were intended to provide the deceased with everything needed in the afterlife. Funeral rituals were conducted with great solemnity, with flickering torches illuminating the dark burial chambers, filling them with a sense of mystery and holiness. According to the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians, gods and spirits were integral to this process. Complex rituals and spells performed by priests created the impression that life continued after death, that spirits were protected by the gods. Even in tombs adorned with frescoes and reliefs, scenes from life came to life, demonstrating the importance of belief in the possibility of existence after death. The ancient Egyptians believed that every element of the funeral ritual, every detail of the tomb, had deep significance and importance for a successful transition into the afterlife. This approach to death and the afterlife makes the culture of ancient Egypt one of the most unique and complex in human history. Statistics show that approximately 90% of Egyptian mummies were found in tombs with a complete set of funeral items, confirming the importance of these practices for the ancient Egyptians. Imagine a civilization that, like a brilliant flame, suddenly flickered out, leaving behind only a handful of ashes and ruins. The Minoan civilization, which thrived on Crete and other islands of the Aegean Sea, reached a remarkable level of development. In the 15th century BC, the Minoans built magnificent palace complexes with exquisite architecture, including the famous palace at Knossos, where complex water supply and sewage systems were organized. These buildings served not only as administrative centers, but also reflected a high culture. Walls were adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting marine scenes, blooming flowers, and ritual dances. The Minoans actively traded with other civilizations such as Egypt and Mesopotamia, indicating the development of maritime routes and advanced shipbuilding. However, their brilliant existence was interrupted around 1600 BC, when a catastrophic volcanic eruption occurred on the island of Santorini, known as the Minoan eruption. This eruption was one of the most powerful in history, causing devastating tsunamis that struck the shores of Crete, destroying ports and fleets. The volcanic ash obscured the sun, leading to abrupt climate changes that could have resulted in crop failures and resource shortages. Studies suggest that this natural disaster could have been a catalyst for the decline of the Minoan civilization. Some scholars propose that the invasion by the Mycenaeans, who sought to conquer the wealthy Minoan lands, also played a significant role in the fall of this culture. Other researchers point to internal social conflicts that could have arisen in the face of economic crisis and political instability, leading to the decline of Minoan rulers' power. The roar of the eruption, shaking the earth, the panic of residents fleeing in search of shelter, and the destructive waves sweeping everything in their path forever changed the face of Crete. Those who survived were forced to seek refuge in mountainous regions, while once prosperous cities descended into chaos and desolation. The disappearance of the Minoan civilization is one of the most mysterious and tragic events in the history of the ancient world, leaving behind artifacts that continue to captivate archaeologists and historians. The study of these remains has been ongoing for decades, and each new discovery adds a piece to the puzzle of understanding how this remarkable culture could have developed and vanished. Ancient peoples, possessing an extraordinary understanding of astronomy, constructed observatories that allowed them to track the movements of celestial bodies with remarkable precision. One such unique structure is the Gössek Circle, located in Germany and dating back approximately 4,900 years before our era. This Neolithic structure is a system of concentric circles made of earthen banks and wooden posts, with passageways oriented towards the rising and setting sun on key days of the year, such as the solstices and equinoxes. Specialists believe that such constructions were used not only for astronomical observations, but also for rituals and ceremonies connected with agricultural cycles. At the Gössek Circle, as at Stonehenge, observers could await the appearance of the sun's disk in the pre-dawn silence as it slowly rose above the horizon, precisely framed between ancient stones. This was not just a moment, but a sense of connection to cosmic cycles that ancient observers felt, recognizing their small role in the grand design of the universe. Similar observatories existed in other parts of the world. For example, Newgrange in Ireland, built around 3,500 years before our era, also has precisely aligned passageways that are illuminated by the sun during the winter solstice. This structure, which is a mound, served not only as a tomb, but also as an astronomical tool, emphasizing the importance of solar cycles in the lives of ancient people. No less interesting are the observatories of the Maya, such as Uxmal and Chichen Itza, where tall structures were used to track the movements of planets and stars, as well as to predict the change of seasons. These civilizations understood that astronomy and agriculture were inextricably linked. Accurate knowledge of the time for sowing, harvesting, and conducting rituals depended on observations of celestial bodies. At the moment when the sun's rays first touched the earth, ancient builders, standing on their observatories, could feel part of something much greater than their daily lives. The sunrise through the openings of these stone and wooden structures created an atmosphere of sacred unity with nature, reminding of the cycles of life and death controlled by celestial bodies. Each of these structures, from the Gössek Circle to Stonehenge, is a testament to the deep understanding of astronomy by ancient people and their desire to connect with the cosmos, placing these cultural achievements on par with the greatest human inventions. The Gössek Circle, with its precise orientation and architectural complexity, became one of the first examples of the use of astronomy in construction, foreshadowing many achievements of the following epoch. It is difficult to imagine how ancient Egyptians could have processed stone with such precision that their methods still spark debate among scholars. For instance, granite, which ranks 7th on the Mohs scale, was used to create monumental statues and temples, and its perfectly smooth surfaces, polished to a mirror-like finish, even impress modern craftsmen. The smoothness of these granite blocks has endured for millennia, and the sound they produce when tapped resembles a melodic chime, attesting to the high level of craftsmanship. Diabase, with a hardness of 7 to 8, also proved popular among ancient stoneworkers. Archaeologists find traces of processing that suggest the use of abrasive materials like sand mixed with water to achieve the desired shape. Significant force was required to achieve precise right angles and cylindrical holes with minimal deviation, demanding not only patience but also deep knowledge of the stone's properties. Basalt, with a hardness of 6, was used for constructing robust structures, further highlighting the remarkable skill of ancient Egyptians. There are theories that they might have used copper saws, but some researchers propose more exotic theories involving sound technologies that could resonate with the natural vibrations of the stone. This hypothesis raises questions about the level of technological advancement of ancient civilizations and the knowledge that may have been lost or forgotten. Research indicates that ancient Egypt had sophisticated tool systems that allowed for such extraordinary achievements. For example, in the temples of Karnak and Luxor, one can see strictly horizontal and vertical lines that continue to inspire awe. It is worth noting that many of these technologies remain a mystery, despite the efforts of archaeologists and historians. Each new artifact discovered through excavation adds another piece to this complex puzzle, opening new horizons for understanding the craftsmanship of ancient Egyptians. Imagine an ancient vessel that could serve as a prototype for an electric battery. This is the Baghdad battery, dated to approximately 2,500 years ago. This artifact, found in Iraq, is a clay pot about 20 centimeters tall, into which a copper cylinder is inserted. Inside this cylinder is an iron rod. The structure of the device indicates a high level of knowledge among ancient craftsmen in metallurgy and technology. When filled with an electrolyte such as vinegar or lemon juice, the Baghdad battery can generate a small voltage, as confirmed by numerous experiments. In the 20th century, researcher Professor Wolfgang Krauss conducted experiments that showed that using this device can produce a voltage of about 2 volts, sufficient for small electrical processes. There are several theories about how this battery was used in ancient times. Some scientists suggest it could have been used for galvanization, allowing objects to be coated with gold or silver, creating an effect of luxury and wealth. Other researchers propose medical uses, claiming the device could have been used to treat diseases by causing a slight tingling sensation and stimulating blood circulation. There are also theories that the Baghdad battery had a religious significance, used to create miracles during rituals. Picture the weight of this artifact in your hands, the dull metal hiding secrets that remain unsolved to this day. Ancient people could feel a slight tingling when touching the working device, giving it almost a magical aura. Research shows that such batteries could have been part of a more complex system, possibly connected to temples or sacred rituals. 80 years ago, when these artifacts began to attract the attention of scientists, debates arose about their true purpose. The Baghdad battery raises many questions about the technologies and knowledge of ancient civilizations, about which the modern world knows very little. It is unknown how many such devices existed at that time, but one thing is certain. The Baghdad battery is not just an artifact. It is a window into a bygone era where science and magic were intertwined in a unified understanding of the world. On the map of Piri Reis, created by an Ottoman admiral in 1513, there are remarkable details that raise many questions. This map depicts the coastline of Antarctica, which at that time was hidden under many kilometers of ice and was unknown to Europeans. Piri Reis claimed to have used ancient sources, including maps created in ancient times, to create his cartographic work. It is noteworthy that the map was drawn with remarkable accuracy, reflecting the contours of the coastline that correspond to modern geographical research of the region. Scientists, such as American geologist Carl Witt, have conducted research that confirms that the contours depicted on the map indeed match those known about the coastline of Antarctica, despite it being completely hidden under ice in the 16th century. This raises questions about how Piri Reis could have gained access to such knowledge if it was not known in his time. Some theories suggest that he could have used maps left by ancient navigators who reached these territories long before him. Furthermore, on other ancient maps, such as the map of Toscanelli and the map of Fra Mauro, there are also images that seem too accurate for their time. On the map of Fra Mauro, created in 1450, one can see islands that were only discovered in the 18th century. These maps are not only interesting from a cartographic point of view, but also intriguing due to their accuracy. Modern research, such as the Geology of Antarctica project, studies the contours depicted on maps to understand how information sources could have existed that preceded known historical records. Consider how many mysteries history of cartography may hold and what discoveries still await us. For example, in 1943, during World War II, a map was discovered on which the contours matched modern data about Antarctica, thus deepening the mystery. Piri Reis not only created a map, but also left behind a legacy that makes us ponder how far the knowledge of ancient navigators could have reached. The number of surviving maps that can either confirm or refute theories about ancient voyages continues to grow, opening new horizons for researchers to discuss and analyze. Each new artifact or map discovered by researchers becomes another page in this mysterious history, where facts and hypotheses intertwine. The map of Piri Reis, in this context, is not just a map, but a key to understanding the mysteries of ancient civilizations and their knowledge of the world. In ancient texts from various cultures, descriptions of what are known as God's chariots can often be found, which are sometimes interpreted as evidence of advanced technologies or even extraterrestrial intervention. For instance, in the Vedas of Indian culture, there are mentions of Vimanas, flying machines used by gods, described as shining, floating in the sky, and accompanied by a roar like thunder and a strong wind. These devices, according to some researchers, could serve as evidence of interactions between ancient humans and extraterrestrial beings. Erich von Däniken, a Swiss writer and researcher, gained fame for his theory that many myths and legends about divine chariots are actually memories of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. He argues that descriptions in Sumerian texts, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, where gods descend from the heavens in shining chariots, can be interpreted as evidence of real encounters. The Bible also contains similar descriptions. In the book of Ezekiel, there is a vision of a deity appearing on a chariot surrounded by fire and light, creating an image of a powerful and awe-inspiring phenomenon. Opponents of von Däniken's theory, however, maintain that such descriptions should be seen as metaphors for natural phenomena, lightning, thunder, or other natural occurrences that ancient people could not explain. Similar elements can be found in other cultures as well, such as in ancient Egyptian papyri, where gods are also described as traveling in heavenly chariots that emit bright light. These textual evidence create an image of powerful divine machines that not only amaze, but also make us ponder how ancient cultures interpreted the world around them. Ultimately, despite different interpretations, these descriptions remain mysterious and intriguing, sparking interest in possible aspects of ancient technologies and mythology. In Sumerian texts, for example, there are mentions of chariots that can move through the air, leaving a glowing trail, adding further layers to the understanding of ancient beliefs and technologies. There are numerous examples where gods are described as descending from the heavens in shining chariots, accompanied by a full roar, the whistling of wind and lightning, creating a powerful and memorable image. Beneath the depths of the Bahamas Islands lies a mysterious structure known as the Bimini Road. This massive formation consists of rectangular blocks arranged in a strict order, resembling a paved road or wall. Underwater archaeologists, such as Dr. Norman Eck, have studied these blocks, which are estimated to be around 10,000 years old. The structure lies at a depth of about 5 meters, and according to many, represents the remnants of an ancient civilization, possibly Atlantis. This theory is based on the prophecies of Edgar Cayce, a famous American medium who predicted that the traces of Atlantis would be found in this area. Cayce wrote in his records that the remains of the ancient continent would be discovered under the Bahamas, which has created an aura of mystery around the Bimini Road. The water in this area plays with sunlight, creating magical rays of light that penetrate the ocean depths and illuminate the swaying seaweed between the stone blocks. Some researchers claim that the structure is a natural geological formation created by erosion and wave action. But proponents of the ancient civilization theory point to the perfectly straight lines and angles of the blocks, which seem too precise for natural formation. The waters around Bimini are teeming with life. Fish, sea turtles, and other coastal inhabitants move among these artifacts, creating a contrast between the living nature and the silent stones that may hold the secrets of past epochs. Research continues, and each new expedition brings more questions than answers. Some divers who have descended into these waters report strange sensations, as if they are on the brink of discovering something monumental that once existed on the surface. There is also a belief that the structure may be part of an ancient road connecting various points on the submerged continent. Debates about the Bimini Road show no signs of abating. Some consider it evidence of the existence of Atlantis, while others claim it is merely a trick of nature. In recent years, scientists such as Dr. Graham Hancock have proposed new hypotheses to explain the origin of this mysterious road. discussions and research continue, and the Bimini Road remains at the center of attention for both scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. This place where history and myth intertwine, and each new look at it can change our understanding of the past. Many dives are conducted using modern equipment, allowing for detailed study of the structure and collection of samples for analysis. It is interesting that in this area, other underwater artifacts have also been found, which only intensifies the intrigue and forces a re-examination of known historical theories. The water around Bimini, remaining transparent, hides everything that could change our perception of human civilization, and each new researcher descending into its depths hopes to uncover ancient secrets that could change the course of history. Ancient civilizations did not merely gaze at the night sky, they studied it, much like experienced astronomers, and left us with remarkable knowledge. The Maya, for instance, developed a complex calendar system that allowed them to calculate the length of the solar year with an accuracy of up to 20 minutes. They used observations of solar and lunar cycles to predict eclipses and other astronomical events. In their sacred texts, such as the Popol Vuh, astronomical observations are recorded which confirm their deep understanding of celestial bodies. The Babylonians, who lived more than 3,000 years ago, predicted lunar eclipses with astonishing accuracy based on their observations of the lunar cycle's periodicity. They created tables that allowed them to calculate eclipses well in advance, demonstrating their high level of mathematical and astronomical knowledge. In Ireland, the Newgrange, a megalithic structure built around 3,000 years before our era, was designed so that sunlight would enter only on the winter solstice, creating a light effect that inspired awe in people. This moment, when light penetrates the dark corridors, symbolized the return of the sun and the rebirth of life. In ancient Greece, the Antikythera mechanism was created, an artifact used to calculate the movement of celestial bodies. This complex mechanical device, found on a sunken ship, included many gears and allowed for the prediction of solar and lunar eclipses, as well as the calculation of planetary orbits. It demonstrates the level of engineering skill that was unattainable for many civilizations for many centuries. The night sky, dotted with stars, inspired ancient observers to create myths and legends connected to the constellations they saw. Observatories like the Temple of the Sun in Tenochtitlan served as places for astronomical observations, where priests, filled with awe, studied the movement of celestial bodies, trying to understand the will of the gods. The silence of these places reminded of the sacredness of these knowledge, and the starry sky became a reflection of their desire to understand the unknown. Ancient peoples, like poets, turned their observations into precise calculations and complex theories that still amaze scientists today. The Great Sphinx of Giza, with its enigmatic and majestic appearance, seems to hold the secrets of the ancient world, which it has been observing for over 4,000 years. This monumental structure, measuring 73 meters in length and 20 meters in height, was carved from a single block of limestone extracted on site. Its construction dates back to the 25th dynasty, around 2,500 years before our era, when Pharaoh Khafre envisioned creating this statue, which, according to one theory, was meant to guard the pharaoh's tombs and serve as a symbol of power. The purpose of the Sphinx is subject to various interpretations. Some researchers believe it to be a guardian of the necropolis. Others connect it with the cult of the solar deity Ra, while others see it as an astronomical marker indicating significant moments in the solar cycle. This diversity of perception makes the Sphinx particularly appealing to historians and archaeologists. The legend of Thutmose's dream claims that a pharaoh, standing in the shadow of the Sphinx, saw in a dream that the Sphinx revealed to him the future of Egypt and that it should be dug out from the sand. This story adds an extra layer of mystique to this monument, which, according to some reports, hides secret chambers beneath its pores, possibly leading to unknown tombs or treasures. The weathered stone of the Sphinx, bathed in sunlight, exudes ancientness, and the play of light and shadow on its face at different times of the day creates unique impressions, as if it comes to life when the sunset paints it in warm golden and orange hues. In the morning, when the first rays of the sun touch it, it seems to awaken, and at midday, its stern profile looks particularly imposing. Weathered and cracked, it reminds us of the time when pharaohs ruled Egypt and the thousands of years that have passed since its creation. The high degree of wear and tear, caused by time and the effects of natural elements, speaks to the significance of this monument in human history. The Sphinx is not just a stone statue, but also a symbol of the mysteries that still await discovery. Over the centuries, researchers have tried to unravel its secrets, and each new expedition brings fresh ideas and interpretations, underscoring its status as one of the most famous and debated historical objects in the world. In the heart of Mexico, hidden within the dense jungles of Yucatan, lies the ancient city of Mérida, which still holds many mysteries. The architecture of Mérida is astonishing in its diversity, as it blends the styles of the Maya, Toltecs, and even Spanish colonizers. Examples include temples like Tepecan, which showcase intricate carvings and unique elements characteristic of different periods and cultures. Experts believe that Mérida was a significant trading and cultural center, connecting various civilizations. Research shows that the city served as a crossroads for merchants who brought goods from distant lands, including pottery from Texcoco and gold artifacts from central Mexico. Unique artifacts found during excavations confirm this. For instance, in 2009, archaeologists discovered fragments of ceramic vessels adorned with Toltec patterns in an area that was once a market. Each discovery adds a new chapter to the history of this place, while the tropical sounds of the surrounding forest create an atmosphere where it seems that ancient cultures are still conversing. The ancient walls of Mérida are surrounded by dense vines and trees that, like sentinels, guard the secrets of the past. Meridian ruins are shrouded in legends of divine beings who, according to legend, helped build these magnificent structures. Excavations conducted since 2002 have revealed not only architectural elements, but also unique items such as sacred amulets and ritual tools, indicating the complex beliefs of the local population. In 2018, stone carvings were found depicting scenes that are believed to symbolize the interaction between different cultures. These images incorporate elements characteristic of both Maya and Toltec cultures, indicating cultural exchange and diversity in this region. Mérida is not just a city, but a living testament to the interaction of various civilizations, which continues to inspire and raise questions among contemporaries. The sounds of nature and the rustling of leaves provide a backdrop for contemplation on how, in this unique place, cultures met and left an indelible mark on history. Among the artifacts of Quimbaya culture discovered in Colombia, the most notable are the mysterious golden figurines that resemble modern airplanes. These small objects, created between the 3rd and 6th centuries of our era, feature triangular wings, a vertical stabilizer, and a shape similar to the fuselage of modern aircraft. Their length ranges from 10 to 20 centimeters, and the gleam of gold, reflected by the light of museum lamps, creates a remarkable visual impression, highlighting the elegance of the ancient jewelry art. Some researchers claim that when these figurines are scaled up, they result in aerodynamically stable objects capable of flight. This raises the question of whether ancient civilizations possessed knowledge of aerodynamic principles that remain a mystery to modern humans. However, opinions on the purpose of these artifacts vary. Some scientists believe they are evidence of ancient flying machines, while others interpret them as stylized depictions of birds or insects, indicating a deep connection between the local culture and nature. For instance, renowned archaeologist Dr. Carlos Castaneda, in his work The Golden Mysteries of Quimbaya, draws parallels between the shapes of these figurines and motifs found in the region's myths and legends. He also emphasizes that such artifacts demonstrate the high skill of local jewelers who employed complex casting and gold-working techniques. The contrast between primitive manufacturing technologies and the futuristic appearance of these artifacts leaves viewers both puzzled and amazed. Ancient craftsmen, working in conditions far removed from modern times, created objects that seem to foreshadow the future, raising questions about what else remains unknown about the civilizations that preceded us. The Gold Museum in Bogotá houses more than 2,000 of these figurines, allowing for a deeper exploration of their significance and diversity. This collection is one of the largest in the world and attracts researchers from around the globe, eager to unravel the mysteries of the ancient world. Civilizations located on different continents and separated by thousands of kilometers sometimes created remarkably similar architectural structures and systems of symbols. For example, in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and China, pyramids were built, which, despite different climatic conditions and cultural characteristics, share common features. Egyptian pyramids, such as the Great Pyramid of Giza, standing at 146 meters tall, demonstrate the skill of stonework and precision in calculations. At the same time, Mayan pyramids, such as the Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, represent complex structures with numerous steps and astronomically precise orientations. The Chinese pyramid located in the area of Xi'an also has its unique characteristics, but still resembles other pyramid structures. Researchers, such as archaeologist Wan Shaw, note that despite geographical isolation, such architectural forms could have appeared simultaneously due to the exchange of ideas and technologies that could spread through maritime routes or migrations. Similarities are not limited to architecture. In different cultures, one can encounter solar symbols: the Egyptian sun, the Aztec sun deity Huitzilopochtli, and the Chinese symbol of Yang, all of which point to the importance of the sun in mythology and culture. These symbols are inseparably linked to agricultural cycles and the veneration of solar light as a source of life. Such parallels also find expression in flood myths present in the mythologies of many peoples, including the Sumerians, Greeks, Indians, and others. These stories often describe a god or goddess who decides to destroy humanity, and only a few manage to escape. The discovery of similar elements in these myths suggests the possibility of a common source, or that ancient peoples could exchange not only material, but also cultural values. There are several theories explaining such similarities. Diffusionism suggests that ideas and technologies spread through contacts between civilizations, which could have occurred through trade or migration. For example, in diffusionist theory, it is proposed that the development of agriculture and construction could have been the result of experience sharing between peoples in close contact. Other researchers, such as historian Graham Hancock, propose the existence of an ancient mother civilization that preceded known cultures and could have influenced their development. According to Hancock, this civilization could have existed more than 12,000 years ago and possessed advanced technologies that were subsequently lost. It is interesting that in different parts of the world, at the same time, technologies appeared that seem independent but still share common features. For example, around 3,000 years before our era, in Egypt and Mesoamerica, the construction of large public structures such as pyramids and temples began. At the same time, in China, similar architectural forms were developing, raising questions about possible connections between these cultures. Archaeological finds, such as zoomorphic statues discovered in China and Mesoamerica, also raise interest, as they have similar stylistic features. These details emphasize that, despite distances, ancient civilizations could find a common language through art and architecture, leaving riddles for future generations. Comparisons between different cultures continue to intrigue researchers. For example, in both Americas and in ancient Egypt, similar methods of stonework were used, which also indicates similar technologies. In ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica, artifacts were found that show the existence of similar tools for stonework, from simple chisels to complex mechanisms. These parallels between distant civilizations make us ponder the complexity and multifaceted nature of human history and what secrets it may still hide. Ultimately, such global connections shape our understanding of a unified human experience, which may have been more extensive and interconnected than we usually think. In Mexico, at an altitude of approximately 2,000 meters above sea level, lies the mysterious city of Teotihuacan, built by unknown tribes who left behind many unanswered questions. This metropolis, which could have housed up to 200,000 inhabitants at its peak, is one of the most significant cultural and architectural treasures of pre-Columbian America. The Pyramid of the Sun, the main attraction of Teotihuacan, stands at around 60 meters in height and is the third largest pyramid in the world, surpassed only by the Egyptian pyramids. From its summit, one can enjoy a breathtaking view of the entire city and its surroundings. The Pyramid of the Moon, located in the northern part of the city, is slightly smaller but no less impressive, with a height of around 45 meters. The famous Avenue of the Dead, stretching over 2 kilometers, connects these two monuments and forms the axis of the city, along which rituals and ceremonies were conducted. The builders of Teotihuacan employed precise geometric planning. Buildings, plazas, and streets are arranged with remarkable symmetry, indicating a high level of urban planning skill. Research suggests that the city was founded around the 1st century AD and reached its peak in the 1st and 2nd centuries, but the exact tribes that created it remain shrouded in history. It is often mistakenly attributed to the Aztecs, but by the time they arrived, Teotihuacan was already abandoned. The mystery of the city's decline remains unsolved. Some scientists believe it was due to environmental changes, while others point to internal conflicts or epidemics. Walking along the Avenue of the Dead, one can feel the grandeur and emptiness of this place. The sound of footsteps echoes between the ancient walls, the wind whispers through the grass-covered steps, and the sun's rays dance on the grey stone, creating a unique sense of time and space. Structures built using special volcanic stones remain remarkably sturdy, and even after more than 2,000 years, they continue to awe with their power and monumentality. These stones hold the secrets of the civilization that once filled the city with life and activity. Today, Teotihuacan is a subject of study for archaeologists and historians from around the world, who continue to investigate its mysteries and try to understand how its inhabitants lived. The city covers an area of around 200 square kilometers, and its ruins occupy a space comparable to the size of modern large metropolises. Archaeologists have discovered numerous fragments of pottery, tools, and even ritual objects that provide a glimpse into the culture of its creators. Immersing oneself in the atmosphere of Teotihuacan, one can feel that it is not just ruins, but an entire era that continues to live in the stones and earth. Imagine a time when people built complex water supply systems that not only met their basic needs, but also showcased their engineering prowess. Roman aqueducts, such as the Appian Aqueduct built in the 3rd century BC, could transport water over distances of up to 100 kilometers using only gravity. These monumental structures, made of stone and concrete, featured arched constructions that were both awe-inspiring and ensured the delivery of clean water to the millions living in Rome. Water flowed through channels, creating a harmonious backdrop to the bustling city life. In Mohenjo-Daro, one of the largest cities of the ancient Indus civilization, an incredibly complex sewer system was implemented over 4,000 years ago. The streets were paved to prevent water from pooling and to direct it into underground channels, maintaining cleanliness and hygiene in the city. The Minoans on Crete were no less advanced. They built water supply systems using terracotta pipes that crisscrossed the island, and their flush toilets were true marvels of engineering for their time. These toilets, with their water supply and sewage systems, allowed the Minoans to maintain high sanitary conditions. In Rome, public baths like the baths of Caracalla were the centers of social life, where people not only bathed, but also socialized. The vaulted rooms of the baths echoed with conversation, while the coolness of the underground cisterns provided a contrast to the hot Roman sun. Clean water flowing from fountains symbolized prosperity, while dusty streets, where merchants and ordinary citizens bustled, reminded of the harsh realities of life. Ancient engineers, in creating these systems, did not just solve practical problems, but also laid the foundations for further civilization development, shaping concepts of comfort and sanitation that became integral parts of urban life. On the slopes of the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, stands a colossal geoglyph known as the Giant of Atacama. This anthropomorphic artwork reaches a height of approximately 190 meters and depicts a massive human figure visible only from above. Its creation dates back to around 2000 BCE to 600 CE, making it one of the oldest artistic monuments in South America. Research has shown that the figure was created by carefully removing the upper layer of earth to expose darker stones beneath, creating a stark contrast with the bright sandy background of the desert. This technique left dark lines that clearly outline the giant's contours, giving the figure a deep and expressive form. There are several theories about the purpose of this geoglyph. Some scientists suggest it may have served as an astronomical marker, helping ancient people determine seasons and navigate by stars. Others believe the figure could be associated with fertility deities, symbolizing hope for rain in this arid region. Another theory proposes that the giant indicated the location of water sources, vital for survival in these harsh conditions. In the scorching air of the desert, where temperatures can reach 40 degrees Celsius, the giant of Atacama appears not just as an artistic creation, but as an ancient message left for those who can see it from above. This sensation is enhanced by the contrast between the dark lines of the figure and the light background, creating an atmosphere of mystery and the inexplicable. This unique cultural monument attracts the attention of researchers and tourists eager to unravel the mysteries it holds. The giant of Atacama has become a symbol of ancient civilizations that, despite the harsh conditions, left their mark on history. Nefertiti, Queen of Ancient Egypt, is considered one of the most enigmatic and captivating figures of her time. She was the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, known for his religious revolution aimed at worshipping the single god Aten. Nefertiti was not just a figurehead, she actively participated in the religious life of the country, which is reflected in their joint depictions where she is often portrayed as equal to Akhenaten, which was unusual for the time. These depictions emphasize her extraordinary beauty and significance in Egyptian culture. In one of the most famous statues of Nefertiti, discovered in 1912 in Amarna, her face is captured with exquisite features, making her a symbol of female beauty and power. However, after the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, her mentions begin to disappear from historical records, giving rise to numerous theories about her fate. Some researchers suggest she may have perished from an epidemic that swept the country, while others believe she could have been exiled due to political disagreements related to Akhenaten's reforms. There is also a theory that Nefertiti may have changed her name and ruled as a co-regent pharaoh, or even solely under the name Smenkhkare, which would be logical given her influential position. These speculations fuel interest in her personality and role in the history of ancient Egypt. The search for her tomb has become a true archaeological odyssey. In the 20th century, archaeologists found numerous artifacts linked to her name. In particular, the mysterious mummy known as the Younger Lady has sparked debate about whether it is Nefertiti. Radiometric dating suggests the mummy could have lived during the same period as Nefertiti, but definitive answers remain elusive. This mystery continues to intrigue both scholars and history enthusiasts, raising questions about how we perceive historical figures and the traces they leave in our memory. Nefertiti, without a doubt, remains one of the most fascinating personalities of ancient Egypt, and her disappearance from history only adds to her enigma.